world needs Trump right now.
Now, I'm going to sound like a saying this. How can you run a country if your net worth is $2.2 million?
Dubai has reached, again, its highest peaks, its highest point.
1,000 transactions in a single month.
People are sitting on their hands still because they're scared the property prices are now at their all-time high.
But the best thing I did when I was 2021, I bought a house in Victory Heights. But if I'd kept it now, I would have doubled my money.
Controversial.
No one would believe me. I have a feeling that checks are going to be extinct.
We're seeing not plan a nearly 100% increase in value, 50% increase in volume from last year. Do you think people are scared and scarred of the ghost of Palm Jebel Ali 1?
Yes, you've been scarred by it, but I do believe that there is an opportunity to make a lot of money. You're talking 50 million for a good number.
Taking Care of Business, Dubai's leading real estate podcast.
Are we leading?
We are leading.
Okay.
We definitely are leading. We are Dubai's leading real estate agency. This is Allsopp and Allsopp. This is Taking Care of Business. That is Lewis Allsopp. He's the chairman of Allsopp and Allsopp. And I am Carl Allsopp, the CEO. Start of the month. Always what we do at the start of every month is talk about data, figures, and Dubai real estate.
Yeah.
What is going on?
What's going on today is Bonfire Day.
Bonfire. And also,
Bonfire Night, sorry.
Bonfire Night. Massive day in the UK calendars, but also big day. Election in the US.
Day. I think it's good talking about Trump and co, but I do miss fireworks on a cold evening in England. You know when you used to get the Catherine wheel and you get the logs and the fire and
bangers and mash,
smell the burnt wood.
Oh, get me back now. Let's get on a
Put
plane.
the AC on. Let's feel it.
Do you know what the mad thing about it is? We've got young children that have never experienced Bonfire Night.
They will.
One day.
I'll get them in the AC room tonight and put a sparkler on. Yeah, big day ahead. So the election day for the US, which I think is going to have an impact on the stock market. I'm sure we're watching our WEO banking at the moment and seeing the shares go up and down. I think it'll affect other parts of the property markets and worldwide markets. But
who do you think is going to win? Because by the time this comes out, we're probably going to know who the winner is.
Trump.
I think Trump's going to win.
You?
I think Trump. I think the world needs Trump right now.
Yeah.
No matter how you dislike him or want to like him, I think there's going to be more stability, more growth, probably less conflict regionally as well if he's in charge. So
I think the big thing for me is I'm just going to type this on here. I'm going to prove myself right before I say this. I'd love to know, and this is going to sound really controversial, what Kamala Harris's net worth is. And the reason I say that is...
she was a lawyer.
Yeah, but she's not in the billions, is she?
No,
surely.
Definitely not.
So when I look at like Donald Trump, he doesn't need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The guy has made business and failed in business, but so has Richard Branson and so has Elon Musk. Everyone has failed in a business, but they're a business person. They understand the complexities of running a business. I think when you listen to Trump talk, he knows his shit. And people don't like how he maybe delivers it sometimes, but there's no doubt about it. I think America and the world was in a better place when he was there. And I think that's down to dealing with conflicts, whether that is Russia or whether that is anything else that's gone around the world. He was able to step in and solve it. And I just think you're right. The world needs Donald Trump at the moment.
It was while I was in Florida last summer. I know Florida's Trump town, but every single person, taxi driver speaking to, everyone said, get him back, get him back.
Really?
Yeah. So start of the month, data's out.
Sorry, I want to say what Kamala Harris' net worth was.
Go on.
2019, what do you reckon it was?
10 million.
$2.2 million.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to sound like a saying this. How can you run a country if your net worth is $2.2 million? And the reason I say it, by the way, there is a genuine reason behind it. It's not, oh, he's rich and he's this. If you go into presidency and you only have $2 million, which won't even get you an apartment in New York, a 2-bed apartment, how are you not thinking, how am I going to monetize this job as much as possible? You look at some of the presidents and people that come out of the UK as well that have gone on to lead the country. They're worth 5 or 6 million, and they leave worth hundreds of millions because they're in charge of like the COVID contracts when they had the masks. I just think the world needs people that have been there and done it.
Well, look, the president of the USA is basically the CEO of the USA.
Yeah.
More business people. You look at like, I don't want to keep talking about the US presidential elections, but Trump's talking about bringing Elon Musk on and trying to help reduce costs and all these really smart business people. Yeah, I'm pro-Trump.
But Dubai, let's talk about that then.
So we are in the last part of the year, Q4. Q4 historically for us as a business and actually Dubai is always extremely busy. It's actually probably the first or second busiest quarter in a normal year. Normally Q2, Q4 always the busiest. Average sale price we saw in October last month was 4.1 million. Now, we talked back, 18 months ago, the average price we were talking about is 2.8, 2.6 million. Huge increase in the average property price.
Obviously, there's capital appreciation growth, but I think maybe there's more wealth in the world, especially over the last few years, and people are just continuing to invest into property at maybe a higher level. It also coincides having a private office where we sell more luxury properties. But I think the mad thing is, and I'm sure, owning a property in Dubai and owning it for 5 years, you've made money on it, haven't you? And that money is generated out of thin air, really, which creates... This is why inflation exists, in my opinion. Property prices go up. They continue to go up. That money is made.
But salaries aren't going up the same pace. Someone actually asked me this morning, I wonder, the people you and I know, and actually across Dubai, how many people are sitting on their hands still because they're scared the property prices are now at their all-time high. So if anyone's watching this podcast or listening to it, they would have seen in the news, Dubai has reached again its highest peaks, its highest points.
20,000 transactions in a single month.
Yeah. And the highest average price per square foot. So how many people do you honestly think, are sitting on their hands thinking, I'm not going to buy because prices are so high, but the high compared to what? How many? It's got to be a lot, right? Because someone asked me the same question this morning.
You looking at Springs Villas. I was telling the story about when we were 2007, a year into being open. I sold a Springs Villa for 800,000 dirhams. That same villa now is 3.8, 3.7. I've seen one of them at 6 million. I don't know. I think when you're buying a house, you just got to look at, am I going to live there? People that are trying to quantify this and process what the market value is going to be in 3 or 4 years, you can't do that, because anything can happen, from a meteorite landing on the world to an explosive boom where the property prices quadruple. But if property prices quadruple, then you are a lot poorer if you don't own a house. And I think that's a prominent problem in Dubai specifically. People that have come on this journey of owning a house, they've become a lot wealthier in terms of net worth. Do you actually care, honestly, if your salary's the same, if your property value's gone up 3 times?
I said to this exact same person this morning, it's about timing market rather than timing the market.
Wow. Is that from a book?
I've heard it somewhere, but the reality is the longer you have a property and you're paying it down, you're paying off the capital in a mortgage, but also there's a probably good chance over the next 2 years the price is going to go up.
Correct.
Rather than sitting there and thinking, the prices might come down in 2 years, so I'm then going to buy it then. But you then lost 2 years of capital appreciation and not paying mortgage and paying rent.
So the best thing I did when I was 2021, I bought a house in Victory Heights. And I always remember this. I bought it for 5.5 million dirhams, which is about 1.2 million pound at 21. Big up, 21-year-old.
Huge.
And when I bought it, I had a mortgage on it. The house market went up. So it went up 20% hypothetically. But when the market went down and I was still holding this property, it was worth about £700,000. And people were saying to me, Lewis, why are you not selling? The market's down. I was like, I don't really care. I own the property. I'm cool with that. I'm living in it. I know what my repayments are. The market went back up to 6. Today it's at 10 or 11 million. And it goes back to the same thing. It's time in the market, using your quote, not timing of the market. I bought at an average price, but if I kept it now with inflation for now, it would have doubled my money.
Yeah.
So I do think, people have to have that mindset where you don't look at what it's worth in 2 years.
Can we just talk about the difference in property price? Your first purchase was £1 million. Mine was £81,000.
Is this the one with the chimney that was hanging sideways and you had a structural
It was a bad experience. You bought a property which needed a lot of work doing to it. I basically maxed out a credit card to get a deposit, bought a property. It was basically massively run down.
It was buy-to-let, wasn't it?
Buy-to-let, yeah. Ended up doing work on it, doing a lot of the work on it myself with a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd never do the work myself. I've got the lowest ability to use hammers and spanners and
listen. I was painting, but I couldn't do anything. Painting, lifting stuff. I wasn't very, very good at stuff like that. Coming back to Dubai. So, lettings transactions, we've actually seen our average rental price for 170,000 dirhams. That in pounds is about 35,000 pounds per year.
And paying in one check. I said this in the last podcast. Not everyone does it, but it just shows what a strong property market the world is. Dubai is compared to the rest of the world. And I was thinking about this the other day. Let's say in the UK or US, people get their tenant. Sometimes they don't pay for months, and then you go through that process. Dubai, I look at one of my properties that I rented when I bought it, handed over, I rented within 2 months, got it in one check, and I was able to reinvest that whole money back into Salik, which is something we'll talk about in a minute, and that went up 28% in the last 4 weeks. having that capital in one check or two checks really helps the landlord massively, and I think that's a pro to Dubai. But I don't think it's a viable solution for the long term. People need individual payments.
You see more companies trying to, I know Likudi, which is a government arm to try and help get monthly payments in Dubai. There are a couple of companies that are trying to make monthly payments for checks more easier, but the landlord's still not having to wait monthly. They get all the money up front.
Keeper as well. Keeper's a brilliant platform where basically they lend you the money for 12 checks into one check with a fee.
Do you think that's the way it will be in 5 years, where all money won't be paid? So the landlord might still get his money up front, but all rents, the tenant side of things, will be monthly, because paying your rent yearly, if you're earning the average salary here, it's a big chunk, right?
Yeah, I do. I have a feeling that checks are going to be extinct. Like the actual form of a check, it'll be a manager's checks, and then it'll be transfers. You look at Dubai and how paperless it is. The one fundamental thing in Dubai at the moment is that, in the UK, they laugh at you for a check now, don't they? Like, I remember when I was living in Dubai, I was like, you take a check? They're like, what are you talking about? Like, that there is no power in it. And I think the way that Dubai is going with decriminalising checks, things like that, I think maybe we'll get to the stage of direct debits, but it takes the government and the entities and the private companies and the tenants to buy into it, which is a long game, I think. I want to talk about something very quickly that I've experienced over the last 2 weeks. Launches. No one would believe me when we talk about launches, because if you don't live in Dubai, you wouldn't understand it. But I've seen 3 launches that I've been offered, and I've seen the social media videos, and I've seen the live sold units happening. These launches are still selling out at crazy rapid paces. Are you seeing the same?
This morning, so we're midday today on Tuesday, I've had 3 different launches sent to my WhatsApp to say this is available. It is madness. One specific last week, which I'm not going to name names on, basically was sold out even before launching. It was all on pre-launch. The demand is wild. Now, what I would probably say is there's a lot of people in the industry, not at Allsopp and Allsopp, that are basically saying you will make 20, 30% on your money, guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. But what I will say is if you buy something, with the way the market's going, there's probably a good chance it will go up, but there is certainly no guarantees. If you hold on to it for the longer term, certainly in the medium term, I'm pretty sure you can make money on it. So just my message to anyone buying off plan is make sure, firstly, you're buying a good development, good developer, make sure track record's good on delivery, product's good, it's something a little bit different about it, and not in the middle of nowhere. Payment plan works good, and make sure you got the money to complete the whole payment plan, not just the first part of it.
Yeah, I think that's someone said to me yesterday. They were talking to me. They went, I'm going to buy this unit at 30% down, and at 30% I can resell it. And my advice to anybody is don't even attempt to do that. Don't put yourself under that pressure. Like, you want to be buying it with the aim to complete on it. And if you can do that, that's where you see it. I think the money's made when you can visibly see it. I've seen projects that are sold on sand and then turned into profit on sand. But the real money for me, and I've seen this firsthand with my properties I've bought, as soon as you can move into it, see it, touch it, see the roads, the infrastructure, people buy into it.
Well, you are that sort of buyer, aren't you? Really, like, but you don't really like buying off brochures. When you can see something, you think, that's the right thing.
Yeah. I think I'm an impatient. Well, I know I'm impatient. I pay Deliveroo the premium £6.95 a month to get the best service and speed, and I would pay double if I could get it same day for the same product. You see me with iPhones. When the iPhone comes out, you can get it from the shop, or you can pay a premium like 30%.
I'm not even going to tell people how much more you pay than
the amount I've got it for everybody else, and that's who I am, and that I like speed and efficiency. But I think the market's crazy.
Does that ever stop? Because we've seen populations nudging towards 4 million. When you moved here, it was 1.6, give or take. So more than doubled since your time had been here, 16, 17 years. When you're seeing 3 or 4 launches a day, let's call it one every day over the course of a year, surely at some point in the future there's going to be a swell of too many properties, right?
It's when's the future though? I mean, I posted something on LinkedIn yesterday just saying how well we done last month. I mean, our second best month ever. And then I just said something about the UK, and I was just like, the increase in tax and this, and how, if you're a landlord, capital gains tax and profit tax. And the amount of people that come back to me saying, I'm moving to Dubai. We've made a decision for our business or our family. We're moving to Dubai. And I think that's just people that I know in my circle. There must be so many people that are sitting there thinking, fuck this. You're taking more money off me. The lifestyle isn't great. The weather's not great. This is just England. Safety is obviously massive if you've got kids, but the same thing will be happening in America and the same thing will be happening in Europe. So it's just a cocktail. Dubai is so clever in what it's doing. You look at what it's doing. It's creating an environment where you can create wealth, and Dubai supports wealth and entrepreneurship, where in the UK at the moment, they're saying if you make more money, we're taking more money from you. So it's not stopping.
To give people some confidence, some of our senior leaders yesterday were actually at a government event talking about Dubai real estate and Dubai as a whole for the next 9 years, 10 years. There's a plan in place. Obviously, we can't talk about what was said there, but it gives us great confidence that there is a very clear plan in terms of how Dubai is going to look, what they're looking to do, how to move the whole industry on, how to make Dubai safer, and when it does grow, it doesn't suffer because it's grown in terms of road network. So it's really, really good that there's a plan in place. You can see where it's going, and it knows what needs to be done to grow to them lengths.
Yeah, I think, like I said to you, I think the main thing is the plan. There's a plan for knowing at the moment everybody's complaining about the roads in Dubai, everybody. But I'd rather be complaining the roads are too busy than everyone's left Dubai and it's too quiet. I mean, the beauty for Dubai is that they build new roads at speed and they go, these are the main problems, and they invest back into Dubai to create more ease of movement really for residents here.
Buyer trends, not a great deal change there for anyone listening. So the most common buyer buying was a British buyer. 20% of our buyers are British. Second is Indian buyers at 8.3%, make a large part. And they're actually Canadians, actually joining the top 3 ranking.
The Canadians to Tim Hortons.
And Tim Hortons, and also Ryan Reynolds from Canada.
Oh, wow, is he really?
He like Deadpool.
Maybe the funniest actor. And I watched it the other day.
Did you? Any good?
I'm going to give it a 7.7. It was a solid film. I don't think it was a great film.
Yeah.
I think if you're going to put it in the universe, I think Wolverine is probably a better film.
Yeah.
But it's a funny
opening sequence, NSYNC, bye.
Well, I'm sure that trended on TikTok off the back of that.
Actually increased on cash buyers. So it increased just under 20% of our cash buyers month on month versus last month.
There's just a lot more cash. I think it's important everyone knows that if you live in Dubai and you've lived and owned in a property, your wealth has increased and maybe you've got more cash available. The main thing that come out for me that I've seen the last month or so, we talk about all the stats and data in the world, is Mohammed Al-Abar, the CEO of EMA, coming out and saying Dubai has had more property revenue, real estate revenue as a city than the whole of the United Kingdom in the last 12 months.
Madness.
So there's 60 million people approximately in England, and 3 or 4 million people? 4?
Yeah, probably touching nearly 4, 3.8.
Nearly 4, 3.5, 3.8, whatever that may be. That is absolutely wild. If that doesn't show you, as a property consultant, I'm just going to say, as a property consultant, if you're working in one of these top companies in the UK, and you, oh my God, this city, the concentration of real estate transactions that I could be involved in, if I was an agent, I'd honestly be jumping on a flight like I did before, knowing that this is a golden era, really, isn't it?
And it's actually quite fitting. You talk about that. We've actually got a online seminar in 2 weeks for anyone listening to this podcast. We've got a talk about.
I'll be there.
Joining Allsopp and Allsopp. Lewis will be hosting it. And listen, if anyone's listening, watching, they've got friends, make sure you jump on it for 20 minutes of your life on your lunch break. It could potentially change a large part of your future part of your life. So,
I mean, the main thing I'm going to get in there is I want to explain to people how real estate works. And anyone who's in Dubai real estate watching this, you'll understand. UK real estate, you sell a house for £500,000. You probably make 1% in the UK. It's probably the average fee now due to the online agencies, which means you make £5,000. Out of that, agent's probably getting 10%, which is £500 of that. That's what a broker gets.
And then gets taxed.
In Dubai, the average sale price, we just call it 4 million. Let's call it £800,000. You get 4%, 8, 16, 24, £36,000. They get half of that. So they make £18,000 for one transaction.
And not taxed.
So if anyone wants to understand wealth generation being an estate agent in the UAE versus the UK, I've just told you one of you's making £500 and one of you's making £18,000. And there's more transactions in the whole city than the United Kingdom. So if you are in property, come onto the webinar.
Do you think there's a perception issue with Dubai? Because you and I were back in London over the summer and we went to Barry's in the morning.
Go on, Barry's.
Which was like a workout studio. And we were talking to one of the trainers. And one of the trainers said to me, "Oh, isn't Dubai full of influencers?"
It is.
Because when you look online, that's what you see. But it's not really a true...
It's full of influencers, billionaires, business people, hotel conglomerates, people that own islands in different parts of the world. Some of the most successful
Fitness
CEOs,
people,
fintech. Yes, you see
teachers.
influencers because maybe that's who they follow. But I do believe that so O Beach has just opened up here, which is obviously the Ibiza brand, and I think there's going to be more people like O Beach that say, "Okay, I've got this business in Ibiza, but what I'm going to do is now open it in Dubai, and maybe I'm going to hold all of my salaries and costs in Dubai because the tax is lower, and I'm going to start a business there." There are so many people that are going to just move their business holdings from the 40 or 50% tax operations in the UK there. They'll pay themselves there. They'll pay no salary tax, no wage tax, no income tax. So do I think influencers are in Dubai? Yes, I do. But I also think a lot of the most important people in the world are moving their business operations there.
And there are normal people, like teachers, people who go to PTs, where it might be the people that live their lives here very normally. So the perception of Dubai where you're seeing the influencer lifestyle is very much a portion, very small portion of Dubai, like it would be any city.
I mean, look, you go to Boxica, and when you're at Boxica, you're there as the CEO of this company, and then you've got the CEO of, I think, Arabian Radio Network is there, and then you've got the guys that own Boxica, and there's other real estate tycoons in there, and I know there's fintech, and then there's teachers, and then they're all mixed in. But the best thing about it is Dubai is just so social and open, and everyone is into whether it's health, life, fitness. So you don't get these people saying the teachers stay with the teachers. Like, everybody here is here trying to make a better life for themselves and better themselves. And I think you being in this sphere of people, you end up hanging around with better people and people that are pushing themselves. It pushes you.
But it's more encouraging, right, this place back home, because you're away from your home country. People are aware of that, and actually you're probably more likely to go out of the way to help people over here, right, in general.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we don't go out late anymore. I'm in bed at like 8:30 every night.
Influencer, you might see like real fun things happening. Don't follow mine, Lewis's Instagram account. You see he's playing Call of Duty.
I get followed, and people are messaging me going, "Oh, we've got this new opening event." I'm like, "You're wrong demographic, mate. I'm watching a baby camera and playing Call of Duty Zombies online at 9 p.m.
Some activity, so huge increase on number of people actually viewing properties, up 20%.
9,000 people I worked it out to, and that's with all the agents probably not putting the viewings on the system. It's probably 11,000 for Allsopp and Allsopp. 11,000 individual. Imagine how much we should invest in petrol.
How much money would that cost in petrol? How much time would it cost?
One of my friends messaged me. I said to him, "Yeah, we've done like 9,000 viewings a month. It's probably 11. It's probably not our highest ever." And I told him I invest in Salik. He goes, "Okay, so really, I'm going on the roads and you're making money off me in the roads."
Technically speaking, that's true.
Invest in Salik.
So viewings up across the board. Interestingly, that your number of listings have actually increased significantly. Sales and lettings are up more than 50%. So more people putting their properties in the market. So
that's a problem though, if I'm honest with you.
Okay.
So some of the units in some areas, owners are overpricing their property, which is keeping them on longer.
So they're being opportunistic. So they're just trying to price. To be fair, I've done that. I've got a unit in Peninsula which is coming to handover. I've said to the agent,
"How much did you buy it for?"
5.
What's it worth? Do you think opportunistic?
I'll put it on for 10. I'm probably worth 7.5. So
you're the worst, mate.
You've
if I was your agent, I'd list it, no problem, give it me.
But there are many people like me where they're probably chancing it and probably not. Although I've had the data to say it's probably not worth that, I've said, well, let's give it a go. It's a unique unit.
Yeah, I mean, look, someone will pay it if it's. I mean, yours, I'm not mistaken, is a duplex on the water, so it's a unique unit. But I do think there's a problem in the market where we do have the data to supply, and having the open data platform that we have, like Data Hub, where you can see the sold prices, is massive to do valuation on the property market. So I do think there's owners that are saying, list my property at this price. And what's happening, this is genuinely happening, we're getting them near that price. And when we get there, they go, nah. And do you know why? Because they've got nothing to buy. Because they're opportunistic and they will make the opportunity for them, but they know everything else has gone up in value. So it's a tough part of an upward trajectory market.
Actually, number of increased townhouses prices year on year. This is wild. 74% increase on average sale price for villa townhouses. Now, them numbers can always be a little bit skewed because, one big property villa sale can throw things out. But the average sales price year on year, 74% increase. We know that's not right. That's probably nearer late teens, early 20s.
Because we're selling more expensive stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's something to consider.
Yeah. Talked about off-plan earlier on, but again, huge volumes. What we're seeing in off-plan, a nearly 100% increase in value and 50% increase in volume from last year.
We sold in 19 different off-plan projects, just developments, not units, 19 projects across Dubai. And I don't think we're doing much with Emaar. I don't think we're doing much with Nikhil. Because we don't really get involved in the token game. People are queuing. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen the Palm Jablali. Like, I wouldn't do it if I was an agent, where you queue it unless you've got the buyer ready to go. Wow, like these people. I've seen people with sending photos of like the deck chairs and stuff, and I can only imagine developers. They're doing this only for PR, letting you know how busy it is. Because in today's world, you don't need to put a queue outside at 4 a.m.
Great marketing, creates further demand. That's what
Would you do it?
I wouldn't do it, but what I would imagine is happening.
Would you do it if you were a developer?
Yeah, I'd do it. Definitely do it.
There you go.
Definitely do it. I don't blame them. Looking at DLD data, so again, it's really boring for anyone listening to this, but over 50 billion worth of total sales value in October, which is just, again, madness. The actual percentage split between apartments and villas, which is telling them with the way the market might go in the future. 78% of all sales were apartments, 22% were villa townhouses. So
that's just mass volume, though, isn't it? The mass volume of
more
apartments that are launched is just outstripping. I mean, you think about if you own land, you can build upwards, or you can build on a ground plus one. You're always going to build an apartment, because you're going to make more money if you're an individual developer, aren't you?
So if you were giving Lewis Allsopp's investment advice, are you steering people towards buying villa townhouses because there is so few versus apartments?
Depends. I think an apartment, if I was going to buy, it'd have to be waterfront, seafront, marina front, or like a good location in downtown. If I was putting money on somewhere, it would still be townhouse and villas. I mean, we've got friends that have just sold in the Palm, and they've bought in Green Community because I've seen the picture of their garden. It's absolutely huge. Greg Wright, big shout out.
Yeah.
And you look at that and think, wow, congratulations, you've made this, you built this, you have now this amazing family home. You don't get that in an apartment. So I think a lot of people are going through that baby marriage, which is him.
Yeah.
They're moving into a big, amazing house. So yeah, I would probably invest in townhouses, villas.
Landmarks, location, branded residence apartment strictly. Don't be too lured by a really good payment plan or villa.
Branded residence is an interesting one. Again, you've got to buy right. I was offered the SLS last week, and you can actually see the tower's beautiful. I like the brand, I like the SLS brand. Owner wanted to sell it cheap-ish. When you start to look at what's around it, there's buildings flying 360 all the way around it. So when you're buying, it's so important if there's empty plots to find out what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Because if you get that wrong, there's potential you could damage the value of what your property is going to be worth.
Yeah. We're seeing villa sales as 4,117 units villa sales sold in October, according to Dubai Land Department. That's an 81% increase versus 2023. Off-plan number of sales increased more than 112% versus last year. Even the volume had increased 119%. So it's very boring for people hearing all these numbers increasing, but this is data from DLD. It's just not us trying to sell you what's happening. The off-plan versus secondary, off-plan is absolutely dominating the number of transactions. 67% of all transactions, according to Dubai Land Department, was off-plan.
You know what Nigel Farage would say?
Oh.
Boring. Investments.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you the best project in Dubai to invest in at the moment, and this is me speaking, that I've actually weighed up whether or not to do it. Palm Jablali. Shall I tell you why?
Oof. Okay, go on.
Okay. They're going to be modern villas, obviously. They're now under the conglomerate of Dubai Holdings, which is Meras and everything else together. You've obviously got the new airport coming in. They're all going to be modern, like Travertini style houses. They're on the waterfront, obviously. And I think that if you can enter there at 19 million dirhams for a really nice modern house on a decent number, there's a very good chance that should double in value by the time it hands over.
Controversial. Do you think people are scared and scarred of the ghost of Palm Jebel Ali 1 first time around? Because it launched 15, 16, 17 years ago, never end up getting developed. So ultimately, I know it's a new project being relaunched.
Yeah.
Do you think that's in the back of the mind with some people there? Or?
Yeah, I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be. It's controversial to talk about it. But I think if you're an investor, it's probably one of the reasons it's probably putting the brakes on me, because I think to myself, okay, I've seen the '08 situation, but Nikhil and other developers were not the only ones. There was Emar and everybody else went through some sort of restructure. The good thing is, obviously, most people were sorted and paid out and, given back the money that they put in when they didn't relaunch it. But it's a different time now. It's a different brand. The business is under a conglomerate of one business. Nikhil at the time, I'm sure, was it a government entity at the time? Wasn't a government entity at the time. I think they delisted as a government entity. So I just think, yes, you've been scarred by it, but I do believe that there is an opportunity to make a lot of money compared to market analysis, what you get on the Palm Jumeirah. Custom bit on Palm Jumeirah, a custom one, as in looks nice, not the old style. You're talking 50 million for a good number.
Flipping opportunity there?
Definitely. But I don't think the Palm Jebel Ali days. I think you've got to be in and wait for it to flip. But I don't think it's flipping a year, because I think the completion is 2028, 2029. So it's 4 years away, and then the infrastructure. But I just believe the value in the money there is just, it's a long way away, isn't it, from the whole Palm. I think it's a 10-year project for the Palm Jebel Ali to be finished.
I question the volume of the flipping market between the first 0 to 30%, probably non-existent because you can't anyway.
Correct.
When you're 30% paid and you're a prospective buyer, surely you wait that little bit longer to see, is it going to be built on time? Is there a market there, do you think?
No. I think maybe there was before, but there's so much choice and opportunity. For you to make money, you've got to put 20% down, hypothetically, but then you've got to put your 4% down and your fees. So really, your 25% is your government fees. If you sell it at 10% premium, you're only making 6% net profit on your premium. It's just, I just don't see value in it. Unless people are launching phase 1, 2, and 3 and they increase the price, I don't see the value.
In the last 3 days, 3 different units, all been offered to me, 30, 40% paid, all at OP.
Wow.
Which is interesting.
Very interesting.
So 2 months left of the year.
Yeah.
We've had our second busiest month or best month since opening. What do you foresee the next 2 months, knowing that December can be a little bit quieter, and particularly with an election, what do we see happening next 2 months?
I think Dubai is different to what it was 10 years ago. I think December's not as quiet as I think people think it is. A bit like summer is not as quiet as people think it is, because people still need to work. I think November's going to be an incredible month for us as revenue, leads, listings, buyers, because I think people are going through that process. It's come to the end of the year. We need to buy a house before we go into the start of the year. I think it's the new year, new home, new me, and everyone else get a six-pack and get richer. So I think November's historically is always a fantastic year. December, tease up for next year. But I think I've said it on many podcasts now, stable growth is what I'm looking for. But if I'm honest with you, the off-plan market is just explosive. Like, I know we've got like 50 clients with deposits down, 50 clients at the moment with deposits down, waiting for execution and off launches that have happened. And that's for like 20 days of clients. So I just think it's an incredible market. And I think it's an opportunity for agents, sellers, buyers. If you do it right and you stay in the market long, using what you said before, it's time in market and not timing. It's an incredible opportunity compared to everywhere else in the world.
And that's not even thinking about potentially interest rates. Maybe, who knows, coming down again this year. I mean, I've got a property in the UK, it's on a mortgage, and it's actually made quite a meaningful difference.
My mortgage, weird you said that, my mortgage came out 2 days ago from my bank, CBD, big up CBD, one of the best banks in Dubai. And my mortgage came down like 11%. So it's a big difference for me.
Okay, so rest of this year, we've got recruitment event coming up. Anyone looking to join, we are hiring Allsopp and Allsopp. We've just opened a new office. We're going into next year with lots of new positions, not just sales and lettings, but lots of different roles. Do reach out to us. You'll get to see the lovely, handsome Lewis Allsopp on his
So handsome,
on
old,
his
haggard.
on his recruitment thing. Any questions you've got regards to real estate, please drop us a line, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Make some comments, and if you can, review us on any of the podcast channels, whether it's Spotify, Apple, some comments, likes on YouTube. That will really help us in terms of searchability and encourage us to do more content like this. This is Taking Care of Business. I'm Carl.
I guess I'm Lewis.
You're Lewis. Thanks a lot.
Bye.